Well, hello and welcome to another Tyrrell's Classic Workshop video. Another restoration stroke recommissioning project is coming to an end in a good way, and that is this car, the Lotus Carlton, as it was called in the UK, and the Lotus Omega, the Opel version of the Carlton. In the UK it was called the Vauxhall Lotus Carlton, so yeah. It's all very confusing, but anyway, same car, different names, and we've been doing a lot of work on this to recommission. It's quite a judgment call, as I've discussed with other recommissioning jobs we've done from Lamborghini Miuras and Countaches down. It's a judgment call to try and not go crazy and remanufacture the car unless it's absolutely necessary, but just to throttle things back and actually just do what is required, replacing perishable items, re-protecting things, overhauling things that might need to be done or could possibly fail, etc., etc. So it's just mitigating against those things, so that when the owner gets the car back, they can actually, enjoy it and not be breaking down every 5 minutes. And actually that is very, very difficult, because this car is a 1991, which means it's now 35 years old. 35 years old! Ugh. But it's done covered the princely mileage of 4,791. So this is probably, there may be one with a lower mileage out there, but this is probably as close to a new Vauxhall Carlton, Lotus Carlton, as you will get. I'm just gradually bringing it to life. We've done a load of work on the brakes. In fact, let's talk about that now. Well, Corey, you've been doing lots of work on this car. Yep. And we've got front brake pads here, which look pretty scary. I mean, this car's done, is it 4,500 or 5,500 miles?
No more than that, yeah.
I can't remember. It's one or t'other, but the front brake pads these are undoubtedly factory original.
They look it.
There's negligible wear on them, but there's a huge crack, as you pointed out to me, right the way around this. This lining is actually ready to delaminate.
Yeah.
Now, we would never countenance using 30-year-old brake pads normally anyway. This one here, now this is interesting. This is the wear sensor. So when the pads obviously wear down to a certain thickness, the wire actually on this car, on sort of BMWs and things from the 70s, it was a single wire, and when the wire earthed out on the brake disc, it brought the brake pad warning light on. Sure. That's why they gradually, when you put the brakes on, they didn't come on like, sometimes they'd come on, sometimes they wouldn't. Sometimes they had a ridge on the edge of the disc which would cut into the sensor and earth it out. All that good stuff. This is a different setup, as you have discovered.
Yeah.
In that it's got a loop of wire,
yep,
which goes through the sensor, and that wire has a certain resistance which feeds back to the brake warning light circuit. If that is severed, it goes from a certain resistance to open circuit. In other words, tiny wire in, tiny wire out. When the brake disc again comes to here and actually breaks that wire, it goes open circuit and the brake pad warning light comes on.
Yep.
So what have you had to, I mean, we don't fancy gouging into the nice new brake pads, thank you very much. There's a liability issue there.
Yeah.
So please, what have you done then? What have you come up with?
Yeah, well, obviously with the new pads, we've had quite a bit of trouble finding the right ones, and the new ones that are currently in, they don't have that scallop in there,
yes,
or the hole essentially to put the new wear sensor in. So
sure.
The only way we could really make it work would either be to find a set of pads with that in, or modify the new ones, which, as we've discussed, we don't really want to be doing, going into the brake material at risk of something failing down the line. So we just had to put the new pads in.
Right. And what have you done with the sensor wires?
Well, the sensor wires, they're all still plugged in, but I think we'll have to tie them up out the way
neatly
out of the way, because unless we modify the pads, there's no way of actually attaching it in.
Right.
So it doesn't put the brake pad warning light on, but obviously it won't indicate that there is a wear on the pad.
And in our defence, we will say that this car will never find itself. It'll be so super well maintained.
Yeah, well, yes.
I mean, it's part of a very fastidious collection.
Yeah.
And there's no way this car is going to be in a position any time soon in the future where the brakes start to get down to the metal.
I mean, it's 36 years old now, this car, isn't it? And that's how much wear is on the pads. They've done nothing, have they?
Yes.
The full meat is on there, so if it's taken 36 years to get to that point, I cannot believe that
exactly
they're going to wear any quicker.
Sure. Now, the rear brakes are also very interesting. This is one of the rear brake pads, tiny as it is. The reason why, I mean, this is for the time, for the early 90s, this was a very, very meaty brake setup. This is an AP Racing caliper, 4-pot by the looks of it. Is it 4-pot?
I think it is, yeah, 2 pots either side, a fixed caliper. Yeah.
Now that was sort of very high tech for then, but bearing in mind this is stopping a near on 180 mile an hour, 1.7 ton missile. So 80% of the braking effort on a car is through the front wheels normally because of the weight transfer, which leaves the back by some stunning calculations at 20%. And this is a rear brake pad off this car. Now the joke of this is off a Mini Cooper S from the 1960s and Mini 1275 GT from the 70s. All use the same brake disc. On the front this is, which of course was 80% of that, approximately 80% of that car's weight coming on the front wheels during braking. On this, it's on the rear.
Yep.
And the reason why it can be so laughably small on a car of this weight and performance is that it's on the back doing 20% of the work.
Yep.
And again, we've just replaced these because we can. Because, I mean, that doesn't actually look bad, but we just do not want to take the risk. There's a tiny crack there. The prospect of chunks coming off these pads is unconscionable, really.
I mean, I've had it before with my first car. The brake pad material delaminated off the back of the metal lining. You know, the bonding had come away, and the thought of that happening to any other car is, you know, from past experience, you don't want that to happen. So, especially with the age of it. So.
Right. So we have a workaround. It's not first prize. First prize would be to find pads with a wear sensor fitment on them, but
Correct,
we work around it. This is what we have to do in the world of. I mean, this is a classic car.
It is, yeah.
So thanks for that, Corey. We've also had some of the original flexi hoses, because the flexi hoses aren't. They're bespoke fittings at the end. They're not conventional.
Yeah.
And we've sent those away, haven't we?
Yeah, we sent them away to get pattern parts made up, which should hopefully be arriving back imminently today. So that's the last piece of the puzzle, really. Once those are on, the car is very close to being done. I can bleed the brakes, and we can get the brakes bedded in.
Great. Yeah. Yes. Good stuff.
Good.
Thanks, Corey.
Thank you.
But by any measure, this is a special car. When it was announced, I think in 1990, it was a collaboration between Lotus and GM to take a very credible executive saloon and turn it into an absolute rubber burner, an Autobahn Stormer Deluxe. And that's what this car is. This car, I think, tops out at 177 miles an hour from memory, with 0 to 60 around about 5 seconds, which doesn't sound too impressive these days, but remember, this was 35 years ago, and it was the fastest 4-door car in the world, and there was such concerns about it being available for anybody to buy. It was even mentioned in the British Parliament, and we've had a custom-made exhaust for it, which is just right. It's not too noisy. It's so easy to make a boomy exhaust for when you're starting from scratch with a car like this, but we've gone for quality rather than quantity. As I say, it's just about Ferrari Testarossa performance, which was its contemporary. Very audacious for a family saloon to be converted into a Ferrari eater, really, at that time. The gear change The gearing, I've noticed, even just warming it up now, is very high. The gearbox and the bell housing and the clutch release arm, etc., are from, I think, a Corvette. It's a robust 6-speed gearbox driveline, but I can't get over how high geared it is. I'm just going to start off in first, which it goes into very nicely. So that's doing 25 miles an hour, and it's just not even close to just about mid revs, which means it's very high geared, this car, but it's just straining at the leash. I don't know when this car was last driven in anything resembling anger, but it was a long time ago. This car is all prepped up and ready to go. So just when it's up to temperature, when everything is, I'm very happy with everything and feel comfortable in the car, we're going to open up this beast, this missile, for the first time. Oof, that is serious grunt. Those twin turbos feeding the 3.6 litre engine, nearly 180 mile an hour car, and it's quite interesting. The steering in particular, it's I'm pretty sure it's an old-fashioned steering box with a drop arm underneath, going to a sort of a multi-joint suspension across the car, and you can tell it's just not quite as accurate as a rack and pinion system. But this was the way they were engineered. I mean, Lotus did a marvellous job. They did a lot of consultancy work around this time, Lotus, and they did do a marvellous job of developing the underpinnings to work properly. You can tell it's a Vauxhall Carlton intrinsically. Of course you can, but the steering just feels a little bit not as direct as a steering rack. It feels like a 1990s car. But I'm just touching the throttle and I can feel those turbos spooling up. We're doing 2,000 RPM. And one of the beauties of this engine was the fact that it did not have turbo lag. It was late 80s, early 90s, so it's got a dump valve to keep the turbos spooled up between gear changes. It releases the back pressure on the compressor vanes in the turbos, and that helps the dump valve actually dumps pressure on when the boost is suddenly decreased for a gear change, which means that the turbos don't have any back resistance and can carry on spinning and pick things up in the next gear more. Because it's two turbos and not one great big one, it actually means that they're lighter and you don't have as much inertia to get going. Yeah, I remember the first time I drove a Lotus Carlton, 20 years ago, something like that. We had one in for work, and again, a low mileage car. That had done something like 12,000 miles at the time, which was super low mileage. This is super low mileage. But one thing that impressed me the first time I drove one was, as I say, how much the turbos don't have to spool up. So the turbo technology was racing ahead in leaps and bounds in the 1980s. We had the introduction of water-cooled turbos to help preserve them if somebody is quick turning the engine off after they've been using them. But I'm just going to now, we're down to 1500 RPM. I'm going to floor the throttle, and there it is. A beautifully smooth power curve. No lag there whatsoever. I can just take it in third gear. And it just, again, it's just, just beautiful. The power delivery is sensational. It's so satisfying. You've sort of got, it's a strange compromise. It's like a much more modern turbo installation, because you've got no turbo lag, but you still have that shove in the back in the seat at about 3,000 RPM as things really liven up. But you would never get this sort of performance with a single turbo. The Bentley Turbo R, for example, a contemporary, had a big turbo, a Garrett TO4 turbocharger, but it also had a 6.75 litre engine, almost twice the size of this, to mean that even off boost you had plenty of grunt. This car is getting a lot of attention. Everybody's looking at it. The imperial green paintwork is fantastic. It's an amazing colour. It looks almost, you could easily write it off as black. This is no man's land with a car like an early 80s 911 turbo, this sort of revs. That's 1600 revs, and it's off. There we go. No messing about. Instant ladlefuls of power and torque. It's addictive, this car. You couldn't help but drive this car. There's no chance. The torque is phenomenal. There's no chance you could drive this at sensible speeds. The lovely 20 mile an hour speed limits we have in Wales now. Gosh, that guy nearly fell off his bike. He twisted his head right round. It's so funny, the different effects cars have on road users. Sometimes they are very, they almost look the other way deliberately in a Ferrari or something like that. But this one, quite the opposite. People know what it is. I wouldn't fancy my chances of losing my driving license pretty quickly in this, because it really is that power, that power curve is just too addictive. Well, thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe, and hope you've enjoyed it. And we'll be out turbocharging another episode soon.